Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for remaining with us. My name is Anthony Sabale, and I am your host. You're watching Financial Markets, and this is Smart 24 TV, where we drive your business. Now, let's take a little closer look at the market yesterday. Closing the market yesterday, we didn't have very much volumes traded. Okay, not much counters really traded. We had only 3 equities participate in trading. That was Wumeme. We had Wumeme there, Stanbic Bank, and MTN trade yesterday. But these trading resulted at the end of the day in about, we had 8 gainers and 2 losers. And amongst the top gainers, we have Equity Bank Limited, who came in position number 1, and Equity Bank Limited came in with a 0.17% gain to over 1,560.72 Ugandan shillings. The second position was taken by Jubilee Holdings at still 0.17%, ending the day with 8,088.11. Nation Media Group came in position number 3 with still a 0.17% increase in price to close at 621.04 Ugandan shillings. And East African Breweries Limited at 0.17% gain closed at 5,047.95. KCB came in at a 0.17% gain as well, closing the day with a price of 1,337.99, and we had Kenya Airways at 124.53, closing with a gain of 0.17%. And the only counter that gained on the Ugandan market was actually Wumeme. Wumeme Limited now came in with the number position in the 7th position after gaining by about 0.18 shillings. And this Wumeme counter came in with 190.18 Ugandan shillings price and traded a volume of about 983,738 shares. On the losing side, as you can see on your screen, we had only 2 counters. SBU, that is Stanbic Bank Uganda, at 185 Ugandan shillings closing price. That is a 3.4% decline in price. Actually, that is Stanbic Bank Uganda came in with a drop of about 0.17 and closing the market with a 20.17. That is, it's not 185 as it is there on the screen, but we're supposed to have 20.17 shillings, and we had a 0.17 decline there in prices for Stanbic Bank Uganda. It's MTN that actually lost by 4.02 cents. If you remember yesterday, it ended the day yesterday but one. It was a gainer with an 189.4. Now it lost by 4.02, coming down to 185 Ugandan shillings, and lost about 2.13% in prices there at the end of the trading session. And when we look at the counters here that really did some activity, the 3 counters we had at the end of the day, about several shares that were traded, a total of about 1.18 million shares, corresponding to a market value of about 204.7 million, 204,784,000. So you're looking at a very huge market value here, but still with very limited equities trading. And compared with the previous day, the data shows a 354% improvement in the volumes and 355% improvements in turnover. And the current market capitalization of the USE, Uganda Securities Exchange, currently stands at 22.5 1.4 trillion Ugandan shillings. Regarding the performance of the indices, that is the market indices and the all-share index, we saw that the index went down despite this performance. The index went down to as low as 5.83 points, and that was a 0.45% drop in the index points, closing with 1,303 points for the all-share index. As you can see, we have been trying to struggle and put up that curve and try to raise it, but still we are still struggling there, as of course we don't see very many counters locally especially performing. The local company index for that matter as well fell by about 1.74% to 271.75. This local company index is one that monitors the performance of the local companies, and you're looking at companies like Stanbic, you're looking at MTN and the like, and these companies we are seeing that their index went down definitely because of the loss of the other two companies that we have seen, that is Stanbic Bank Uganda and MTN, which are very major counters when it comes to the Ugandan local companies or the domestic equities that we have here in Uganda. Now, this performance on aggregate due to the loss on the all-share index, we are seeing that on average we have a 1 week gain still on the all-share index at 4.63%, and we still have a 4 week gain still of 8.18% in the terms of weekly performance for the index, but an overall year-to-date loss of about 8.28%. The USE local company index, however, we are seeing that it made a 1 week loss of 0.83%, and it made a 4 week gain of 1.41%, and a year-to-date loss of 16.3% there for this particular market here. In terms of volumes, Wameme recorded the highest volume traded on the market, a total volume of over 983,000 shares, 738 shares that were traded, over 980,000 shares that were traded on Wameme. She was followed by Stanbic Uganda. Stanbic Bank Uganda traded a total of 120,800 shares on the counter here yesterday on the market, while MTN Uganda traded over 82,500 shares on the counter yesterday. Looking into the gainers, none of the gainers had any activity, but just for the sake, we can look at how their performance has been. Looking at, for example, East African Breweries Limited, gaining by 0.17%. East African Breweries came to a price of 5,447.95. Now, it last had that price around the month of February, early this year. And if you look at the curve for East African Breweries Limited prices there, you can see that it's coming back to the 5,000 mark, where it last had it just before the month of February, and 6,000 mark was during the month of September last year. That's when we last saw that pricing for the East African Breweries Limited. And then when we look at Equity Bank Limited, on the other hand, gained by 2.64 Ugandan shillings. That was a 0.17% increase. And when you look at its curve, you see that they are between the 1,400 and 1,600 at 1,560. And that is, they're trying to come back still to their highest this year, around the 1,600s for this particular year 2022. And when you go to Jubilee Holdings, on the other hand, Jubilee Holdings Limited had a curve, as you can see, coming down. Prices were going down over the past several weeks and the past several months before the month of April, matter of fact. But between the month of April and the month of August, the prices have been quite stable, around 8,000 Ugandan shillings. And yesterday they closed at 8,088.11 Ugandan shillings, and that was a 13.68 gain, which was about a 0.17% gain as well. Kenya Airways, on the other hand, also who gained by 0.21 Ugandan shillings, came in at a 0.17% gain. And when you look at the curve of Kenya Airways, they're quite stable around the 120 shillings mark. And when we look at the activity, still like most cross-listed equities, we don't see much activity there for Kenya Airways at the moment. But the current price, the closing price yesterday was 124.53 Ugandan shillings. As for the Kenyan Airways counter, KCB Bank, also another equity there that gained, came in at a 0.17% gain as well. And you can see the curve a little bit touring towards the 1,400 mark, which was still the highest price this year. Looking at, for example, February averages of 1,400 in Feb, and so we see the curve trying to come back up to the 1,400 mark, as at the moment it is at 1,337.99 Ugandan shillings. That's a little bit about those counters that gained. Of course, these are mostly cross-listed equities, and in Kenya right now, given the election, given the weakening Kenyan shilling against the United States dollar, there were so many problems around the stocks there in Nairobi, but we are seeing companies kind of regaining resilience as we get closer and closer and closer to the election. Maybe people's fears are being allayed, and people are kind of getting back to trading on the Kenyan market. Remember, for these cross listings, we are seeing that they do a lot more than just the demand and supply in terms of how their prices are moving. Very many external factors affect how these counters move in terms of pricings, in terms of the volumes that are traded. Various other factors come in, because you realize that very rarely do we have a highest volume on a cross-listed equity. Very rarely. You find that most of the big volumes are traded on the domestic equities here in Uganda, which is a good thing, but as well for these companies, we need to see more activity for them to actually appreciate the market and be able to gain resilience on the market. And when you look at MTN now, for example, MTN Uganda stock yesterday fell from 189.4 to right now 185, which is still the average, not something really scaring. But when you look at their graph there, you see that at least we had the mark still be above 180, which is still a good thing. We don't want to see it come back down to 170, 160, but at least with that loss still, we can expect some activity today and maybe more trades today for this day. Remember, they also had some good volume there being traded on the MTN counter yesterday. We hope for that volume to as well improve, and we hope to see more on activity on the counter. MTN Uganda particularly has been listed for the shortest period of time so far on the market, and since 6th December last year. It has not even made a year on the stock market, but in terms of market capitalization, it is the second most valuable stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange, with a total market capitalization of 4.14 trillion, which makes about 18.5% of the entire Uganda Securities Exchange. In terms of traded volumes, you're seeing MTN come at around 82,500 shares yesterday, and that was about 15.3 million shares. Now, we are talking about a company that trades shares at about 100 shillings and 89 cents or 85 cents. and yesterday alone, they traded a total of about 15.3 million. And this was due to transactions of about 82,500 shares. Among these shares, of course, we could have people buying, we could have people selling. And of course, we could have a certain fraction maybe selling. And of course, this maybe could be a little bit determined by when you look at, for example, the pricing. If it ends with in the negatives, that is in the reds, with a decline in price, then we are seeing that maybe there were more sellers or there was more selling than buying. And maybe when it goes up, maybe we can say there are more people buying than those that are selling. But basically, these volumes, these daily volumes we are looking at could be either sales or people buying. So these are what influenced the market to move down from a price of 189.4 to a price of 185. Those still within the averages of this particular stock. And then when you look at the shares outstanding, they have 22.4 billion shares and about 4.14 trillion worth of market capitalization. And in terms of daily performance, we have seen that they lost. But when you look at the 4-week performance, looking back exactly a month ago, that's around July 1st. Yes, when you look at that, they have lost about, when you look at that, they have gained about 6% when you look at that particular increase. And that is the MTN share from July 4th. When you look at that performance, a 6% increase in MTN Uganda stock has been witnessed in the last 1 month. And you're seeing that this is the 6th best on the Uganda Securities Exchange in terms of monthly performance. While when you look at year to date, however, they have lost about 5.12% because they began the year with a price of 194.99 Ugandan shillings. And that is the stock for MTN there. The other loser was Stanbic Bank, as we have seen. Stanbic Bank Uganda, however, lost about 3.14%. And in terms of market capitalization, Stanbic is the second most valuable with a total of about 1.03 trillion shillings, which is about 4.61% of the Uganda Securities Exchange equity market. And the traded volumes worth about 2.44 million yesterday and a total volume of 120.88. Still, Stanbic Bank Uganda, after this loss, there was a 3.4% drop from the previous day. And Stanbic Bank began the year still with 26, as you can see there on the graph, 26 shillings, but has since shed off 22.4%. That price valuation, ranking it the 13th on the Uganda Securities Exchange in terms of year-to-date performance. And however, shareholders still should be worried that Stanbic Bank Uganda has lost 6% of its value on a monthly basis. And Stanbic Bank, however, the other encouraging thing maybe is the 5th most traded stock. So you see that they have still some good activity when it comes to trading huge volumes on the market on a daily. And since April 26th, between April 26th and August 2nd, Stanbic has traded a total volume of 7.99 million shares on the market. And these are valued at 177 million Ugandan shillings over the period, with a volume high, with an average of about 126,000 shares per trading session, but a volume high of 1.7 million, which was achieved on the May 20th, 2022. So yeah, we look at this just in order for you to pick interest, and it entirely depends on you what exactly you want. If you're looking at activity, you look at how much volumes are traded, and also you look at the activity of this counter. If you're looking at long-term investment, you may not look at the volumes really. You may say, let me buy my shares, for example, for 1 year, for 2 years, and see what happens. Still, we have such kind of investors, but all are encouraged. One thing to do is to know exactly what you're investing in, to know how the companies are doing, and make the most of them. The other counters, we had Bank of Baroda, we had British American Tobacco, though they did not have any activity on the market, but of course we can see their prices there. Bank of Baroda at 85, Batu, that is British American Tobacco, at 15,000, and the rest, of course, you can see, as you can see on your screen right there. Thank you very much for remaining with us. We are Smart 24 TV, and we drive your business. Now, we're going to go into a very short break, but when we return, we have Mr. Kimuli Allen, who is coming in from Standard Bank Group. He's a trading manager. He's a person who has been on the trading floor before. And we're talking stock brokerage. How has stock brokerage changed over time? What is new? What is different from our traditional stock brokerage that we used to have before 2015, before going online, before being able to open an SCD account online? How has the stock brokerage come from the traditional stock brokerage of having a share paper and so on and signing documents to right now being able to trade online? We are talking more about that in the next session. Stay with us for more. Smart 24, we drive your business.